learners, welcome to Triad. Today, moving forward, we will be learning about checked versus unchecked exceptions in Java. So, what are exceptions? As we have already known, that exceptions are the unwanted events that interrupts our flow or execution of program. So, coming here, a problem that occurs during program executions, that is disrupting normal flow, is called exception. All exceptions are a part of Thrable class hierarchy. We have seen that these all exceptions are derived from the Thrable class, which is a superclass. Thrable class, which is a superclass. Yeah, Thrable class. So here we have the hierarchy shown here. Here we have the object, which shows the superclasses at Thrable. Now comes the exceptions and errors. Now comes the exceptions and errors. In exceptions, we have checked and unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions, the example of checked exceptions are IO or input output or compile time exceptions. And unchecked exceptions, it stands for runtime or null pointer exceptions. Following the errors, we have virtual machine error and assertion errors. Now moving forward, we will get to know about the checked exceptions. These checked exceptions, they are checked at the compile time only. The Java forces to handle the try class or throws. It forces because these checked exceptions needs to be handled. So Java forces us to handle them using try, catch, block, or throws. Now, typically, this occurs due to external sources like files, database, and network. These exceptions occur due to external sources. Now, the examples of these checked exceptions are IOException and SQL exception and file not found exception, and class not found exceptions. For our example, we will be watching out a code here. We will import this exception from import.java, import java.io. Now moving to the classes, suppose this says there is a class, public class checked demo. Now which has the main method line public static void main string args. Now which is having a try catch block. Now in this try block, we are writing file reader, which will be forming an object fr with the help of this new reader, and all this text will be textured from file.text. Now coming to this catch block, catch block is catching the exceptions. So file not found exceptions, file not found is the exception, and E is the object found. So system.out found file not found, and E is the exception. If these exceptions are formed, this will print the line file not found. If you don't handle it, this compiler throws an error because these exceptions are required to be handled. Now coming to these unchecked exceptions, they are usually found during the runtime of the program. Now Java does not force you to handle them, as we have performing the runtime only, and Java doesn't force us to handle them. They are usually caused by logic and programming errors. If there is a programming error that has occurred during the program compilation time by the programmer, or if there is something that is logical errors, if some wrong logic has been written in our program. Now the examples of these exceptions are null pointer exception and arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, and some similarly arithmetic exception, and now the array index out of bound exception and number format exception. The code for this exception are as public class unchecked demo. There is a class there is a class which is public and is unchecked demo. Name is unchecked demo. Now which has a public main method line, and the code is, suppose there is there is a number which is 10 by 0. Nothing can be divided by 0 value, but we are writing 10 number equals 10 by 0. So this is an arithmetic exception. So system.out.println, this line could not be executed, and nothing can be executed, nothing can be divided by 0. This line cannot be executed. And so the programmer compiles but crashes during execution. Programmer will not throw a result, it crashes during the executions. And now the key differences between the checked and unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions are usually found during the compile time and unchecked during the runtime. And you must handle them using throws. Yeah, checked exceptions are required to handle, so yeah, we require them to handle. And unchecked exceptions, they do not require to be handled. Now inherit form. these exceptions inherit from exception. This checked exception inherit from the exception class, and this run it is from the unchecked exceptions are inherited from runtime exceptions. Now, common causes. The common causes of these exceptions can be checked exceptions. They are due to the file database, network issues, and all this type of errors, due to which compiled checked exceptions occur. And unchecked exceptions occur due to the bugs performed by the programmer, or there can be logical errors which is also executed due to the programmer during the execution of the program. Now, examples of these exceptions are checked exception stands for IOException SQL, and unchecked exception stands for null pointer exception and arithmetic exceptions. We have seen all these things in the above example. Now, when to use these, use which exceptions, which is required. File not found, we have to use the checked exceptions, and division by zero is a kind of unchecked exception. Now, invalid now invalid input format. This is also unchecked exceptions. This is also unchecked exceptions. Now, failed database connections. This is a checked exception because database exceptions they are always occur due to the checked exceptions only. And accessing null object. This is a kind of unchecked exception because if object is not found, it will be directly throwing an error. Directly throwing errors or according to the compiler of the program, and they are usually doing and there, but the running of the program can be occurred. Running of the program can be occurred. So this is unchecked exceptions. Now, custom exceptions. We have the custom exceptions. As suppose there is a class myChecked exception which extends from the exception class, and public static checked exceptions has the parameter as string message. Public myChecked exception has a parameter as string message. Now, this is super message. The super class of this class is myChecked exceptions, which has the super message. This needs to be throw a message, yeah. And this is a checked exception. This is a forming checked exception, checked custom exception. Now, forming the unchecked exceptions, we have a class myUnchecked exception, and which extends runtime error. The checked exceptions they are extended from the exception classes, and unchecked exceptions they are extended from runtime classes. So they will acquire all the properties of this runtime exceptions classes. They will inherit all the properties of this class, which has a public my class unchecked exceptions, which has a parameter string message, Now, super dot message. This class to super dot message. This super dot message will inherit from the super class, that is runtime extension, that is runtime exception, and will similarly throw us a message. Yeah. Now, coming to the summary, checked exceptions are usually forces the compiler to handle them. Checked exceptions are always checked, and so they forces the compiler. It becomes necessary for the compiler to handle them. And unchecked exceptions they are found generally during the runtime of the program. So they're runtime exceptions, and they can be they are found during the runtime exceptions, and they can be optional to handle. We use checked exceptions to recover errors. Checked exceptions are used to recover the errors, and unchecked for bugs in the logic. For unchecked exception for the bugs in logic, because there we have the illogical errors or due to the other arithmetic problems. So they just check the bugs in the logic. Now, thank you. We'll meet in next class.